Welcome everyone to episode 5 of Rant and Pray. This is a show where we rant, talk about issues, and then we pray because otherwise we would leave here feeling really, really depressed. So today I'm talking to two beautiful women. I'm joined by Sophia Peart and Nicole Gooden. They are good friends of mine from I don't even know where. So I met Sophia about 10 years ago, maybe more, on a mission trip to Kenya, my country, woo. And then I met Nicole through our mutual friend, and we together, we're all in ministry, and I'm gonna let them tell you about themselves, but that's how we came to know each other. And so welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
So today we're gonna look, well, mostly, so the last 4 episodes, the first episode I shared my story about being Black, living in Ireland and America, and things that have happened to me. And then in episode 2, I was joined by Diane Ehura. She lives in Dublin, and she got to share her experience as well. And episode 3, I was joined by my friend Evan Willis, who is Black American. His dad was, not his dad, his great-granddad was a slave and was nearly lynched. So he got to share all of that and how God saved him just as he was about to get lynched. And then episode 4, a lot of you have watched, was me and Tim sharing our story and our experience with race. So controversial. Apparently, people felt I didn't let him talk enough, but he's super shy. And when I told him that, he was like, Maureen, if you let me talk too much, there'll be nothing. Like literally, like you'd have no recording. So I'm just grateful that he didn't feel left out in any way. And I hope, ladies, I will let you talk loads today as well. So go ahead, take it away. Whichever one of you wants to start. Maybe I should pick on someone.
You know what, Maureen? I don't think you'll have a problem with us ladies, you know?
I know.
Because like we're just like Do you want to start, Nicole?
So Nicole, as you said before, and I'm currently finishing my master's at Newbold. So I am on the peripheral of ministry, I guess, but I am serving in my home church as an elder. So I'm getting on the job training as well. So that's quite good. Yes.
So lucky to do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. And Sophia?
Yeah, I'm 4 years in. So I've done my internship at church, and I have my own church now, and I've been fortunate to have other experiences as well in broadcasting. So my experience is quite mixed in ministry, and I minister in West London. So yeah, that's been my little hub at the moment. So I've enjoyed it.
Sophia has the nicest church in the whole wide world.
Really do.
I'm not even
pretending.
I went over to do a week of prayer, and they fed me, they bought me nappies and wipes, and I had mastitis for the whole week. So I was preaching with like cabbage leaves.
And I lost my car as well that week.
Yeah, and her car. They were just so lovely.
Yeah.
So I'm still in touch with them. I do a devotional on Saturday mornings with them, and I get text messages from quite a few of them. So you do have the nicest church.
They are. They're just a fantastic. I mean, for me, my internship was pretty rough, if I'm honest. So I came out of my internship quite broken, and they've really been a healing source. They've really showed me what God designed church to be like, and it's really, they've restored for me my faith in the look, you know, the small church, and they really, really are loving. Do you know, actually, you know, they bought you nappies and stuff like that. They bought me a bag of rice for you guys and for us to have rice. And, you know, I still have like half a bag of it. Like, it was a big bag.
Wow.
I'll be having that rice for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, they were preparing for lockdown. God had told them without
Indeed.
telling. Yeah, you know.
Yes.
Okay, so ladies, Nicole, I think you were born in Jamaica and moved to England when you were little.
Well,
right?
not so little. My
Okay.
teenage years, yes. I was born in the beautiful, beautiful land of wood and water, Jamaica.
I didn't know that.
I have to sell it.
Cool.
The land of wood and water. Yeah. So I was born in Jamaica, and I came here when I was 13, just about to turn 14 when I came here.
And what was
So
that?
quite a different experience. I mean, if just on the level of schooling, it's an absolute different experience in terms of the school environment. Absolutely different on home environment, because I was raised by my grandparents in Jamaica, and then now to move to a country that is absolutely foreign to me, to live with my mother. So absolutely different experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so you are British born, and are both your parents Jamaican?
Yeah, so both my parents are Jamaican. My parents came here in the late 70s, well, mid 70s actually.
Yeah.
My dad a little bit earlier than my mom.
Mm-hmm.
When they got married, they decided to live in Sheffield.
Mm-hmm.
My mom originally came and lived in Birmingham, so it was heavily populated with Afro-Caribbeans at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But coming up to Sheffield, there wasn't as many. There was just like a pocket here and there.
Yeah.
And most of those were connected to the church as well. So I was kind of like the only Black girl in the school.
Yeah.
For most of my schooling,
Wow.
until I went to university in London.
And you were like,
I went to
whoa.
college.
Yeah.
Until I went to college, and then it was like,
It's like your eyes open,
people
doesn't
everywhere.
It's like you're just like, wait, I'm not the only one. And
yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. My only other interaction with Black people was mainly the church. So that was like family. That was like the extended family. But like in my experience of society, it was, I'm the only Black girl in the village.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You kind of live this dual existence, right?
Yeah. Well, tell us more about that dual existence for you. What did that look like?
Oh, I think for me it was like acrobatics.
Okay.
But something that you learn as a child, that there's certain things that happen outside, in the outside world, and then it kind of flips when you come in the house. You know, the accent, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. The food, you know.
Yeah.
Mom and dad would speak patois, especially when they're upset. You know. But when we're outside, they try and speak the Queen's English.
Absolutely. You know? I can relate to that, Maureen, because I work in program management, and I've been told many a times I have a white voice when I'm on the phone. When I'm on the phone, I have my work white voice when I'm on the phone. But when I come through the door, straight patois, because this is just how I speak, this is how I relate. And it's really difficult to and I don't know if you can equate to this, Sophia, but it's really difficult to express yourself properly in the Queen's English sometimes. When you want to say something, it needs to be the patois, or else you won't get the full gist of what someone is saying. So
being grown up a Brit, I don't have that. I get it, because I get it from my parents. Like they fully express themselves when they talk patois. I get it, but if I try to, it's like, that didn't work.
I'm a bit like Sophia, funny enough, and I speak a whole different language as well. but I express myself better in English. Whereas I have cousins and friends, and my mom would always be like, you know, if you want me to fully express myself, let me speak my language. So when we're having an argument, for me to make a point, I have to speak in English, and for her to make her point, she has to speak in Kikuyu, and it's quite funny.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, but I get you, Nicole, like
Yeah.
and I get both of you actually. So kind of duality where you when you're out with your friends, you speak a certain way, you do certain things, but when you get into the house, you know, you must obey, and don't you dare bring the Irishness or the Britishness into the house.
Right?
It's
like, what is that?
It's funny because when I get passionate at work, you know, and I'm speaking about something with passion, the patois comes out, and I don't mean to, but it just automatically comes out when I get really passionate about what I'm talking about, and you can hear it. You can hear it when I get passionate.
Heard it a few times, you know, Nicole.
Yeah, probably. Like I said, it's really difficult to express yourself in, you know, the proper Queen's English and enunciate each vowel and letters, and but the patois, you know, it's passion. It comes out. It's you know, it's full with emotion, and
You know what? One of the things that I remember as a child thinking, you know, when they ask you, do you speak another language?
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, of course I do, because I have to talk to my mum and dad all the time at home. Do you know what I mean? But actually, it's not like there's another language. I struggled for it's a dialect, but I struggled for such a long time. Like, why is it not another language? Because it's not English.
It's not another language. And it's funny you should say that, because when, you know, when people hear that you're born in Jamaica, like, oh, so you speak Patois, like, yeah, I do. So, you know, how would you say my name is? And you kind of look at them puzzled, like, my name is like, no, but how do you say my name is? It's English. It's just really broken. You drop letters, you drop, you know, words, but my name is
remains my name is.
Say what's going on. What a guan.
Yeah, like, no, I can just say what's going on, and it probably would just sound different because of my accent, but I'm speaking English. It's, you know, you just drop certain things.
Yeah,
but it's quite funny.
Yeah, well, sure, it's not that much different from some of the Irish accents and some of the Irish expressions. You know, people say things, I'm like, what? But anyway, moving on. Sophia, you said that, you know, you were the only Black girl in a lot of spaces. When did you first realize that you were Black?
Oh, I think my first memory of being Black was my nursery school. And actually, I showed you guys a picture of nursery.
She looks angry in that picture.
She does. I think that she looks upset.
Every moment, I realized I was the only Black girl in the village.
Oh, wow.
See my face, I just wasn't impressed. In all honesty, I think, when I was very, very young, about 4 or 5, I do have this vivid memory of being really close to my nursery school teacher. So close, because my mom at the time, she had myself, my brother, who was directly a year after me, and then she was pregnant with twins. So, like, people just ran to her aid and help. So one of those things was take Sophia. So I remember my nursery teacher taking me to town, and people looking at my nursery teacher and then looking at me, and this kind of mismatch, like, and she would just hold me in her arms and stuff like that. But I knew that I wasn't the same. But my difference wasn't a problem. I don't remember my difference being a problem in those spaces.
All your life?
Not all my life. I remember that time. So I don't have very many memories of my junior school being problematic, Probably when I got to secondary school, I remember it being problematic. But my experience, I guess, was coined also with the fact that I wanted to be a Christian, and the Black Christian experience was very intertwined with our culture. So it's kind of like, how do you separate our Black experience from church? And then in this space, I'm a Christian. So there's just things that I don't do. And at that time, I didn't understand the difference between that's my culture and that's my religion. You see what I mean? So it was kind of all bagged into one. So if I didn't take part in something, it was more because I was a Christian rather than it was because I was Black. You know what I mean? How I get people every now and again call me Black this and Black that. But I wasn't the kind of young lady child to take that, you know? So I would deal with it.
So how would you deal with
it? Yeah, elaborate.
We want to know. The pastor.
I dealt with it. That's right.
We ain't crossing that ground again. You understand? So in my secondary school, I used to hang around with. We called it, and this might be a term that you might not be familiar with. We called it the cock of the school. Yeah, okay. And it's the person who's kind of like, she's won every fight. Nobody dares come.
Okay.
You know? And me and her were like this. Like when she had her episodes, the teachers would call me to go calm her down.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so having a best friend like that, you know, I didn't encounter many problems. And when I did, I could resolve them myself.
I wish I had one of those friends. I wish I was in that.
I remember my brother got picked on. He just started secondary school, and it was lunchtime, and he didn't tell me that he was having problems. Obviously, he just wanted to kind of sort his own issues out. But somebody ran up to me and said, somebody's trying to have a fight. Somebody's picking on your brother. And I was like, and I was second year now. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah, somebody's picking on your brother. Listen, I marched down to this person and I held them up to the tennis courts. And I was like, are you messing with my brother? Now, this guy was a year ahead of me. Like, don't you dare. And I had most of the school behind me, you know, watching, going, fight. And I turned around to the guys and I was like, I'm not going to fight you. No, don't mess with my family. Done. So I wasn't a bully or anything like that, but I learned to stand up for myself.
Yeah. Good for you. What about you, Nicole? Maybe your experience is different, but when was the first time you realized that you were different?
That would be coming to the UK, but that's more of a culture issue, because similar to Sophia, I wasn't allowed to go to certain events at school, and that was just because of my religion. And because I grew up, of course, like I said before, in Jamaica, it's predominantly of African descent. So there is no difference. The main difference in Jamaica is class difference. It's not racial difference. It's more the have and the have-nots. So in terms of being different in Jamaica, it was more because of my religion. So there was just certain things I didn't get to go to, because all the barbecues, the parties, sometimes the sports event would happen at sunset on Friday, and the finals would be on Sabbath. You know, I remember being in primary champs, and champs is a big deal in Jamaica, an absolutely big deal, you know, the athletics champs. And I remember participating in it, but only up until the Friday, because I couldn't participate on the Saturday. And eventually I just gave it up because there was no point. I was I was a fantastic athlete, but I just couldn't finish it. And so I just gave it up after a while. So the difference in Jamaica was just about religion. I couldn't partake in certain things, but that was my life, so I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
But in terms of coming to the UK, again, for me, it was to start out with was culture, because my school was quite mixed. I wasn't the only Black girl in the village. And so my school was very, very mixed. And so when I went there, there was a difference in how I behaved because of my school in Jamaica. When you go to school, and a teacher approaches you or speak to you, you stand up and you speak to them. You know, and just little things like that. So it's more cultural difference. So I don't think I can pinpoint. There was a particular event that I will never forget. And I remember I met a young lady, and I believe it was in school or college. And I remember we became friends. And she had a lighter complexion than I did, but and I don't want you to think this is ignorance on my part, but remember, I came from a culture where it's predominantly Black, and you do see white people. There are white people in Jamaica. Don't be fooled by it's only Black people. There are white people, there are Asian people. You know, it's a mixed bag, but it's predominantly African descent. And so when I met her, I didn't think anything outside of, oh, she's a Black girl. And I remember we went shopping after college, and she said, oh, let me introduce you to my dad. And I turned around and it was a white guy. So my face went kind of confused, because I thought, I didn't understand. I didn't know that she was a mixed heritage. And then I could see the way she looked at me, like, why are you looking at him like that? But I didn't, because she just said, here's my dad. And there's a white gentleman standing beside me. So I didn't understand. And that was that moment that I thought, okay, I need to be more careful, because I don't want him to think I am prejudiced. She said, here is my dad, and there's a white gentleman standing beside me. And I just couldn't reconcile the two, because I had never seen that before. Really? So it was ignorance on my part. And I think that was a moment that really stood out to me. And that was when I was really young, when I first came to the country. So it's something I've always remembered, that I just need to understand and just be mindful, because you don't know people's heritage just by looking at them sometimes. And yeah, you just have to be mindful. And to this day, I hope she didn't think to this day, I think about it, and I just hope she didn't think I was racist or prejudiced in any way. I just met this young lady. She looks like me. She says, here's my dad. And my brain just couldn't reconcile the two. So my face showed that. And then she saw the confusion and just, and I really just pray she wasn't offended.
I doubt she was. She probably got that reaction from both sides, both Black and both white. Because even in this day and age, my kids are mixed, and I went for a walk, and I bumped into a woman who from Slimming World, when I was doing Slimming World last year, and she was like, oh, your kids. And then we ended up talking. It was just after George Floyd had happened. So yeah, we were talking, and I happened to mention that my husband's white. And she looks at my kids, she looks at me, she used to, this is a white woman, she used to see me with my kids all the time when I went to get weighed. And she was like, oh, your husband's white, so for her, she just thought that they were fully Black, no mixture at all, and I've had even people from the other side as well, from, Black, people who are Black who say, oh, well, they look really dark to be mixed. So I don't think she would have thought that would be prejudice. I could be wrong, but I can imagine how shocked you were as a person. Whereas for me, coming from predominantly Black but dark-skinned people, anybody as light as you, I would have considered kind of non-black
Wow.
for a long time.
Really?
Yes.
This is where all
Non-black as in what though? When you say
Like,
non-black, as in
I
mixed?
don't know, either mixed or something.
Oh wow.
Yes, for a long time. So when I got to America and people who were like as white as the palm of my hand were like, oh yeah, I'm black. I was like, wait, what do you mean you're black?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's taken me like up until like my adult life in the last 5 years to be like, okay, so they
really.
are black. Yeah.
Wow.
In Kenya, like,
That's interesting.
like to be black is to be like, you know, and then
Black.
we have a huge population of Arabic
Yeah.
people and Asian,
Yes.
Indians, Pakistan descent. So yeah, it's quite interesting.
Wow.
I like the Kenyan look because the Kenyan look is so varied, as opposed to, say, for example, like maybe the Zimbabwean or Ghanaian, because you've got the mix there.
Yeah.
It's a greater diversity in features.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what you were saying, and I think in terms of when was my first real experience, and I think I remember being at college as well. So not being at college, yeah. Two markers where my parents really highlighted to me that my difference would be an issue in the world. And that was when I was choosing my college options and what I wanted to do, because I always wanted to, you're going to laugh at this, I wanted to do drama.
Why would I laugh?
I don't know.
Maybe you're dramatic. Dramatic.
So I wanted to do drama, and I thought I had a knack at it. And I wanted to do singing and stuff. And my parents, I remember they were very gentle, like,
don't do that.
maybe you should think about having something that can bring you in a steady income, you know? So thinking about social work. And I remember going to the careers advisor and inquiring about social work. And she kind of said to me, I don't think you'll be able to get in, love. And that was a bit of a shock. And my parents explaining to me why I shouldn't narrow my view in terms of going into drama, but, you know, broaden my horizon, was because, you know, they were trying to protect me from the fact that I am Black and I may not get through. So you do need a baseline and push yourself and educate yourself. So for us, you know, maybe the same for you, Nicole, like our parents came here to give us a better life. But they only ever came here for like 5 to 10 years. And then their plan was to go back. But they ended up settling here. So, you know, for us, it was like, we're their investment. So we have to strive and be the best that we can be educationally. And that's why they kind of started steering me in the direction of get your education. And if they didn't say it, then they strategically planted aunties.
Yes.
Aunties. Yes.
So one of those, you know, is still my mentor today, amazing woman. But she really spoke life to me in terms of education, doing well, but also and being Black. And my journey of my consciousness of being Black is a journey, you know, because I think, and this is the dual existence thing, I think we do these acrobatics between the two cultures, or between being Black and assimilating, because we have to. But I think there's something deeper to that, because we can't actually be ourselves.
Yeah. And that's what I found for a long time. I couldn't really be me. And actually, it was both in public and also with my family, because there were things that I really liked. from the Irish culture, or just from, you know, you're a teenager, you're discovering things that I couldn't show or tell my parents, because then they would just be like, oh, don't be very Irish, you know, and like, you know. And then there were things that I really loved about my culture, about my Blackness, about, you know, being African, that I couldn't really show to people in my school or my friends, because they wouldn't get it, and it would be too primitive or too backward or whatever. Yeah, so it was just, so I get the assimilation, and up until recently I did not know how, like, I've always tried to be very authentic. You guys know, I have no secrets. I just say things as they are and whatever. So, but I always found like I couldn't really be myself until I embraced both sides. I embraced what I like from the Irish culture, embraced what I like from my Blackness and from my Africanness, and what I love from Christianity. And then now, finally, at 32, I'm like, okay, I can be me, and I don't care who likes it and who doesn't like it, you know. Yeah,
I think that's so important, and it's a journey to get to that stage as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I find that it's a weight that and you can tell me if I'm the only one who feels this, so because I don't want to generalize, but it's a weight that the way you behave, I feel like the way I behave or how I react to situations is a reflection on the whole female Black population. Am I the only one?
No, you're not.
Okay, I thought I was the only one.
I tried to tell my white counselor, and she was like, she didn't get it, and I was like,
yeah, it was like, I have to be mindful of how I present myself.
Yeah.
Because what I never want to be is the angry Black woman. And it's just, no, it's just angry Nicole. it's just angry Nicole. You know, Nicole's just angry about so-and-so, or passionate about so-and-so. This is not everyone. I am not carrying, but I feel like I carry that weight. And so when I do things, when I send an email, something as basic as an email, when I answer a text, I read it and reread it and reread it. Am I gonna come off this way? Am I gonna come off that way? And I'm just thinking, do other races carry that? Do they carry that when they, you know what I mean? When just by existing, just by doing something simple as replying to someone and having a dialogue with someone, in the back of your mind while you're talking, you're thinking, well, check yourself. It is a heavy weight.
Heavy burden.
I don't have that burden per se, unless I'm in a really tricky situation, public situation. So I don't remember carrying that whole weight. I think probably because if I look at my working life, I was given opportunities, and I came across as, you're not like all other Black girls, are you? You know what I mean? You're
what does that mean?
You know? And I think it's because I didn't, you know, they didn't see me angry much, but when they did see me angry, boy, I was angry, you know. But that didn't happen often. I would probably go to the toilets and cry more than express it in.
Yes. I do that. I don't express myself if I'm getting really anxious or angry at work. I step away, just like you, Sophia. I do it privately because I don't want any part of my action to be placed on anyone else, because it's just me that's feeling that, and I don't need it to be placed on the female Black population.
Like, so I get both your points, right? So Nicole, I carried that weight for years. Even earlier this year, I talked to my counselor about it, this lovely white woman, and I said it, and she did not get it. She just looked at me, and I can't remember, she tried to I don't even remember because I switched off because I realized I was just like, no, we just let's not talk about this. So up until the last few months, but in the last 5 years, I've had outbursts of anger and outbursts of just, I can't believe this is happening, especially with the shootings in North Carolina, the shootings of Black men, so all this anger that I had been holding down because I am a Christian, because I'm a good girl, all of a sudden, like, I was just like, I can't bear it anymore. So I had outbursts on my Facebook, lots of posts. Every time there was a shooting, I would cry and weep, and then I would write a long post on Facebook. And I had a pastor, a white male British, write to me and said, you're just coming across as an angry Black woman. And you know what? It broke me, but it also, I thought, if crying out for justice makes me an angry Black woman, then let it be so. And you know what? A lot of the change that happened in history, even the slaves, people kind of sneaking slaves out of places and helping them get from the South to the North, and during the civil rights, a lot of it, the backbone, the people who did the work were women. And because they saw the injustice, yes, the men get the fame, the men get, the whatever, Martin Luther gets it, but without the woman, without Rosa Parks, without Harriet Tubman, like, and all of that, and those would have been stereotyped in their day as angry Black women. So I'm like, if it means that me crying out for justice makes me an angry Black woman, then let it, as long as I'm not just bursting with anger for no reason at all. So I've kind of come to a point where I'm like, no, I am angry.
Yeah, I must admit, I must admit, although I don't carry the burden per se, I probably, if I do carry that burden, I didn't carry it when I was working out I carry it more now that I'm a pastor. Because I am, I'm supposed to be an example, in a certain way. But what it has made me more aware of is, I don't know if you guys have, of intersectionality, and because we are not just Black, but
that's right, we are female as well.
And then my intersectionality of being single and a pastor, in the context in which I operate in, it kind of, it doesn't, the discussions around race kind of bypass because of the figure that race conversations feature, the Black male who's been brutalized. The figure of feminism is, the white middle class woman. So it's kind of like, well, where do we fit in as Black women? And we then get titled with the angry Black woman, which we all sound like we're fearful of, because I don't want to be called a Black woman. So I find myself really apologizing for, even when I'm being assertive, I apologize for being assertive. The fear that I am being angry, and I'm not being angry. And then there's the other thing of, we are very expressive, and our expression can sometimes be misconceived as anger, as Black women. So how do we kind of navigate through that? Is a lot. We juggle a lot, kind of mentally, psychologically, to actually survive.
Yeah, it's true. Sorry, we had muted ourselves because your mic was going a bit funny. So I think it's because we were responding. So that's why we went quiet. I agree. It's hard. I don't even get me started. But I've come to not embrace, but just be like, okay, if your perception is that I'm an angry Black woman, there is some truth to that. That's where I am at the moment. And maybe with time, I will, be like, okay, but I used to just kind of hold back anything I was feeling or thinking, and I refuse to do that anymore. And you know, and there are many angry Black women, and I think of, like, say, Black women in America who their husbands or partners are all in jail because there's this unfair treatment of Black men. And so they're raising these children as single mothers, you know, things like that. Or can you imagine how the mother of Tamir Rice, or, you know, the mother of, you know, all these Black men who have been shot, like, how they feel, what, you know, so there is some anger there as well. Anyway, that's my little rant. But so we are running out of time.
Oh, wow.
But I know when we start talking to, you know,
I know, because Sophia just brought up a point about intersectionality, and I was going to touch that, but it's okay, we're running out of time.
No, go ahead.
Because intersectionality is such, it is, the topic is phenomenal. And, you know, you think about the layers of prejudice that can be on top of one person, you know, because you have the ideal, the white male. So when you kind of step out of that, you think of the layers on top of that someone is dealing with, because you're not just, you know, you're not just a female anymore. Now you're a Black female. And as Sophia was saying, as a pastor, so then your esteem just, and it's, so then you think, okay, if I am up here, like, there's no way I cannot fall off this pedestal because I just want to be me. But then you see me here, and the amount of prejudice that is attached, or the amount of yeah, it's just phenomenal. The crossroad that intersectionality meet for I believe for a Black female is tremendous, and the type of position you're in as well, Sophia. So it's just layer upon layer. It just adds.
Yeah. I don't see myself as going up in that pecking order. I see myself as going down. Not that
I'm not saying you're going up, but people have added this layer. You're a pastor, so you're supposed to be like this, and then so you're a female, so you must carry yourself like this, and it's just, but you're thinking, I just want to be me. Yeah, but they have added these layers on top.
So I think there's intersectionality there, and then there is expectation. How I should be as a pastor, and I think they're two different things. And it was something that I really struggled with, if I'm honest. Maureen, I've spoken to you a lot about my struggle of being a female pastor and the expectations attached to that. And I think I've got to a point now where, like Maureen was saying, I just need to be, the only way I can survive is to be me. So actually, who am I? And Maureen was saying, you know, I'm in a fantastic church that allow me to be me. So whenever they see me and not be myself, they're like, Pastor, that's not you. You know, and they call it out. And I love that, because they really help me to stay grounded, and when I say grounded, to be myself, because what I recognize is that God can only use us when we're completely ourselves.
That's true. I have been on this journey of realizing that your identity, how you perceive yourself, how you see yourself, changes how you changes how you view other people and how you view your purpose. So I call it identity, perspective, purpose. So if I know who I am, like Jesus in John 13, knowing who he was able to kind of strip his clothes, wrap a towel around him, and wash dirty feet. And I think there's there are a lot of Black women, because of expectation from church, culture, society, and their own kind of African Caribbean culture, who don't know who they are. And because we don't know who we are, we're not even able to really live out the true purpose that God has given us. And I think it's such a pity. And then because we're not living in our potential, then people can stereotype us. And they're like, oh, Black women don't get educated, or Black women don't do this, or Black women don't do that. But we are capable of so much. And actually in America, the number of graduating Black women is really, really high. I can't remember what the percentage is, but it's huge. And I think it's because women are kind of coming into their own and realizing, yes, I am Black. Yes, I am a woman. And yes, I am single. Yes, I'm this. Yes, I'm that. I don't look like what the world wants me to look like, but I'm still good enough. And I am still beautiful enough, and I'm still lovable. And I just love the natural hair movement that's happening right now, and that has taken over in the last 15 years, where Black women are owning their hair, owning their hips, owning their lips. I love Michaela Cole. Do you guys know her? She's a British girl of African descent, but she has strong features. She's beautiful.
She has absolutely strong features.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
But
beautiful.
I'm watching
Beautiful.
the show at the moment, and I'm just like, yes. And like she shaves her hair,
Shaved her head, yes.
episodes, and like she's just rocking it. Just all you can see is her features and no hair, and then she has her wig on, and I'm just like, yes, finally. And but we're still not there yet.
You know, and this is one of the things. I was talking with somebody today, and they were talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. And I asked the question, what do you think we need to do? What needs to be done? I didn't say what do we need to do. I said what needs to be done, because I really believe that we can talk about the post-traumatic stress of slavery, which we experience in our lives. It's in our DNA, some of that trauma. We can talk about the effects of the Windrush. Or you guys coming over, living in Ireland, and how that means that we have to kind of live this dual reality, which in effect robs us of part of our culture, of who we are, something that makes us who we are, because we have to assimilate to actually progress within the structures that exist. But there comes a place, and I asked that question. And the person responded, we need legislation, we need this, we need them to do this, we need them to do that. And I was like, suppose they never do anything. Suppose they never see, what do we do? Because I truly believe, just like you said, Maureen, what we need is self-love. An abused person only gets healed when they take responsibility for their healing. So the videos that you see of this beautiful woman, the affirmation that we have as a people coming together, the beauty that we have, celebrating that in ourselves, increases our Black love. Now, that doesn't mean that we are aggressive towards other races. No, we still be who God has called us to be, which is loving and welcoming to everyone. But we appreciate who we are made to be as Black people. Rather than self-hate, because I believe that that's one of the reasons why, some of our crime rates in some of our countries are so high, because we've lost that sense of love for ourselves.
Yeah. And it's, as we come to a close, the more you are told something, the more you believe it. So now we have to change how we feel, how we think. This morning I was doing a devotional, and the person that wrote it said, God, change my mind, change how I view myself and how I view others. So like, if only Black people could see themselves the way God sees them, not in the eyes of colonialism or everything that you've mentioned, but in the eyes of God. And we are a loving people generally. Like I've met I talk too much, but there's this page on Instagram called Black and Irish, and people were sharing their experiences, the the experiences with racism, and some of them are traumatizing. Like, I just remember reading one of them and just crying, and it's not even my experience, and people say that my experience is horrible. So, and I just cried, but yet she had such high hopes for Ireland, and she was saying, I hope, you know, this is what I hope for Ireland. I love Ireland. And, you know, so even though we've gone through so much, we don't hate white people, we don't hate Ireland, we don't hate the UK, we don't hate America. We hate what has been done, but we never hate the people. And maybe I'm generalizing, so maybe there are some Black people who do hate white people, but the people that I know, none of them, and a lot of them have gone as far as marrying white people, or like just their close friends are white people, you know what I mean? So we are a kind and loving people, and it's good to be reminded that we are lovable as well, even though the world does not always love us. Any closing remarks from you ladies? Anything you'd like to say to white people or Black people or people at all regarding race?
I think I would say listen.
Yeah.
I would say listen. I'd say, like you said, Maureen, you listen to experiences of other Black Irish people. And throughout my life, I've had the opportunity to listen to stories of other people from other races. I've got some great friends from Romania, and when they tell me their stories, there is a connection between us, and there are differences. But what we're able to do is love each other, and then love who we are as people. And that comes through listening, because you're creating a sense of acceptance and belonging.
Yeah.
On top of the listening, I would say, don't be dismissive. Just because you haven't experienced something, it doesn't mean the other person hasn't experienced it. And just because you haven't experienced it, it doesn't mean that it's not real for someone else. So while you're listening, don't be dismissive. Appreciate someone else's experience, because our experiences are relative. They're unique to us, and you can learn from others' experiences.
Oh, that is so lovely. So I want to end with Romans 8. This is going to be our prayer. And I'm aware that I forgot to pray on the last one. But we're going to pray today. Well, here we go. It's Romans 8, verse 35. And it says, who will separate us from the love of Christ? Will tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Just as it is written, for your sake we are being put to death all day long. We were considered as sheep to be slaughtered. But in all things, we overwhelmingly conquer through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing will be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. And that is God's truth on us, Black people, but also on white people. And I believe that when we get to heaven, it will just be a beautiful rainbow of people from different places, different races, different experiences. But the only thing that we're going to be overwhelmed about is the love of Christ for all humanity, because we are one race after all. So God, I thank you, and I declare and decree love on everybody listening and on my sisters here, Sophia and Nicole, and I just pray that you will bless us all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.